City of Sanford City Commission meeting, Monday, May 23rd, 2016, 7 p.m. City Commission Chambers, first floor, Sanford City Hall, 300 North Park Avenue, Sanford, Florida.
May 23rd. If everybody would please rise for the legislative prayer by Pastor Benita McClendon of New Life World Center. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance immediately followed.
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we give you praise, we give you glory and honor. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for life in this nation and in the city of Sanford. We thank you for this body of leaders that you have called that are serving our community. I pray that they be led by your Holy Spirit, Father. You say in your word in 1 Timothy 2:1 and 2, that first of all, let there be supplication, intercession, and prayer for those in authority, for kings, for princes, and for all other branches of government. Father God, I pray that these leaders have compassion, have strength of purpose, vision, have equity, justice, have a heart for humanity, for the welfare of all citizens. And Father God, I pray that the city of Sanford be kept safe, free of social discord. Let there be harmony and peace and understanding. Bless these men and women tonight as they seek to do what is best for the city. Give them your guidance this evening, and let everything they set their hands to be blessed. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Tonight we are blessed to have some very special people with us, the Mayor's Youth Council. We got this started last year at the beginning of the school season. So I've asked them, because this is officially their last meeting, we've asked them to come in and make a presentation of what they've done over the course of the year. So come on up. The floor is yours. First of all, before you get started, special guest Dr. Griffin, the superintendent of schools here. Dr. Tina Calderon, you can clap. These are great people. Karen Allman, school board member. Dr. Hayes from Crooms. And Dr. Collins from Seminole High. Thank you so much for coming. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Amelia Green. I am the chairwoman of the Mayor's
Oh,
Youth
turn the
Council.
mic on. Oh, it is on?
The battery's dead.
The battery's dead. Well, you're prepared, we aren't, which is kind of normal for us, isn't it?
Hi, my name is Amelia Green. I am the chairwoman of the Mayor's Youth Council. Today we have here some of the representatives from the Youth Council. We are 6 of us from Seminole and 6 of us from Crooms Academy of Information Technology. The Seminole delegates are Amelia Green, Shannon Wilburn, Kendall Walden, Malia Kareem, Renelle Collins, and Olivia Alice. Addison.
Hi, my name is Addison Ramirez. The representatives from Crooms are Taryn Perkins, Michelle Tavar, John Luso, Jai Brown, and Shelby Beeler.
We are proud here to represent all the things that we've done today for the Youth Council. So with that, we were sworn in originally on May 20th, and it was the first meeting we had. The first thing we did as a Youth Council is we attended the Florida League of Cities conference in Orlando. This allowed us to go and talk with other youth councils that were in the state of Florida and gain some insight of what it meant to be a youth council and the things that we could actually accomplish. Because this was the first time that we had a youth council for the city. So we were the ones who got to lay the groundwork for what would originally go on in later years. Going to the Florida League of Cities conference allowed us to understand that to better do our duty, we should not be under the Sunshine Law. And so we brought that to the Commission's attention, and we were taken out from underneath the Sunshine Law so we could better do our duty.
On July 1st, 2015, we participated in the Veterans Luncheon, where we served lunch to the veterans, Vietnam veterans. They told countless stories, and it was a very nice bonding experience.
On October 2nd, 2015, we were downtown Sanford, and we were holding signs waiting for the mayor to come through on his journey down the East Coast, spreading awareness about the missing children along the East Coast. That was eye-opening and very fun event to be a part of because various community groups came out to help support.
On December 12th, we participated in the Christmas parade where we got to help decorate a float, and then we also got to give back to our community while having a little Christmas cheer, so that was fun. And then on Arbor Day, we went to the Boys and Girls Club and we helped plant trees and allowed us to give back to the community and to the environment simultaneously. Our next initiative was the Walk with the Mayor, which we started on October 27th. And it allowed us to go out to the community and try to involve other people and educate them about government. We went in and we had a presentation, and then we did try to promote fitness, and we walked along the newly expanded Riverwalk. So a few of the issues that we tried to address at that point were the promotion of fitness, how to register to vote, how to get in touch with your elected officials, and then what to do once you did get in touch with them and wanted to present an idea to them.
Bridge the gap between youth and law enforcement. My name is Taryn Perkins, and I felt like with everything that was going on throughout the community that the youth didn't necessarily trust law enforcement. So I brought some Sanford PD and some Seminole County deputies into the Boys and Girls Club to talk to them about bullying and things. And
I'm a native of Sanford, born and raised right here in Sanford, raised in Goldsboro, and I'm a sergeant sometimes here alone. I'm also a pastor in this community as well. Let me share this with you. We are very excited for the next several weeks to have this interaction with you all, because we're going to introduce you all to a lot of resources that you may see on TV, that you may hear about, that you may see up in the air, such as the helicopters, that you may see from the prisons, such as our canine dogs.
that was a brief overview of what Deputy Blue talked about when he came to the Boys and Girls Club. I actually brought 3 of the Boys and Girls Club members here to share their experiences.
My name is Kanaya Bullard. I'm 11 years old. I'm in 6th grade. I go to Millennium Middle School. And before the chef came and told us about bullying, people at the Boys and Girls Club was not good. And after they came, it was like people was helpful, and they were showing us that people can go home and they can do suicide because people is bullied.
Hi, my name is Mary Franklin. I'm 12 years old. I go to Millennium Middle School. And to elaborate on what Kanai said, they came in to help us with our bullying problems, and especially in the teen group, we have a lot of it.
Okay, my name is Olivia Kilgore. I go to Sanford Middle. I'm 12 years old and I'm in 6th grade. When the sheriff had came out to talk to us about bullying, it was a real step to preventing the bullying, because there was a lot of it before they had came, and it stopped once they had left. They taught us ways to prevent it from happening, and people who you could talk to.
Hi, my name is Adam. Addison Ramirez. One of the other initiatives that we worked on was a job fair. We felt like we really wanted to connect our community, and one of the ways that we wanted to do that was by hosting a job fair. We basically opened up the job fair. When we advertised it, we advertised it as free to anyone that could join. We used Facebook. We walked down all the businesses in downtown Sanford. We annoyed them that way. We basically blasted as much as we could. Okay. We had almost 20 businesses show up, offering almost 100 jobs. There were a little bit over 100 job seekers that had showed up, and in the end, there was about 20 plus jobs that had been created. So we were really excited about that. That was some footage from the job fair that had taken place, and we really expect this to grow next year, so we're really excited and looking forward to next year. Thank you.
Also, over the course of the year, we made a few videos, and then one of them was the Florida League of Cities entry, and so this is that.
Sanford, Florida is such a close community. That's one of the reasons that we were all attracted to joining the Youth Council. We've been working with influential figures in the community on various projects with the goal of improving relationships. We've started a job fair initiative to connect local employers to people in our city. We also have been working on an environmental initiative to bring awareness to conservation and the impact we have on our community. One of the initiatives we are most proud of is connecting our local youth and law enforcement together with the Boys and Girls Club. The connections that we are making continues to add to the love that we all have for our city.
Another one of the videos we did is the Grease video, and basically what this is from our Grease initiative. We were trying to draw attention to the problem of like increasing grease in the community, and so this is just a video to kind of bring awareness to it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'd be remiss. The two program teachers, Lindsay.
I'm back here, sorry.
There you are. And Miss Zara, Miss Z. Thank you. Miss Z and Miss O, basically. As you can see, let me just give you a little bit of history. We started this last year. This is the first ever that we've done it. It took Lisa Holder and I, who really put it all together, about 3 years to finally make the decision that we were going to do this. I can't say enough of how glad I am that we actually did it, because this is the future. This is our future right here, and you can see that that they're great kids, and they're a product of their environment. They're a product of our great school system, and I couldn't be more proud of you guys. And the reason why I'm proud is that we walked in the door when we first met, and we sat down, and I said, this is the first one ever. This is the only thing I'm going to tell you. I need you to put together some bylaws. And I need you to create something that can be done over and over and over again for years to come. Now, and then we sat back and did nothing. And I told you guys, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to let you guys do it. And man, was it painful sometimes to watch. But what they learned was you got to compromise. Life is about compromise, right? About the 42nd thing that they decided to do that was going to be their legacy project, we finally boiled that down into subcommittees, boiled that down into 30 things, boiled that down into about another 15, and then talked about bees, talked about trash cans, talked about cooking oil, talked about the Boys and Girls Club. We had this whole list of items. And as you can see, like I told them, I want one great project that you guys can be proud of and you can take and always come back and remember it. Well, they came back with 5 and did every one of them. I mean, every one of them. You saw what they did. They would show up on weekends. They'd show up every Tuesday. They'd show up together, separate, whatever it was. I'd get text on some group me thing that my phone is blowing up. I don't even know what it is. You know, it was hard to even find sometimes. But they created some 20 jobs in our community when they don't even work. Your job is school, remember that. So I'm very impressed, and I want to thank the commission for allowing us to do this too. It's been a journey. It's been a lot of fun. Ms. Zemas, I think you're going to be with us next year too. We've got a new group of kids coming in. We've got some coming. That's shaking her head. Yes, we've got some. Who's left over for next year? We got 2 coming back there, and I think one other one that isn't here. And we've got a whole new group of kids. We actually had the opportunity to sit down, all 24 of us, and kind of talk about what next year was going to hold and what was going to happen. And these guys right here were absolutely telling that next group exactly what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, how it needed to be done. And finally we sat back and we were like, listen, you got to let go. You got to let go. But there was a lot of things that they wanted to finish. So Lisa, if you'll come up, I've got something, we put together something a little bit special for each of them to remember us by when you're off on your own and you know, feeling lonely and missing all of our great times together. We got a picture for each one of them with the group, and then I wrote a little letter that I want to read aloud for each of you. It says, thank you for your interest and participation as a member of the City of Sanford's 2015-2016 Mayor's Youth Council. As the inaugural council, you have set the tone for future members of the council and are appreciated for your volunteer work. On behalf of the City Commission, we recognize and applaud your efforts to increase awareness on important issues to the Sanford community, such as the environment, job growth, mentoring, youth through the Boys and Girls Club after-school program. Your leadership on the Youth Council is valued. We wish you much success in the future and welcome you to stay engaged with your local government. You're the future generation that will be leading the way. I encourage you to continue to explore new and innovative possibilities that will only add to creating an even greater Sanford to live in and or visit. Signed, Mayor Triplett. So John, got that for you? And I tell a story about each of these guys that we don't have all night. Taryn. Ms. Perkins, I am going to tell a story. Miss Perkins is the bulldog of the group, right? There's no filter. There's a little bit of filter, right?
A little bit.
A little bit, not much. But she's a hard charger. This young lady right here is going to come back and see us one day, aren't you?
Yes.
And I would not be surprised if she's not sitting up here, because there was no saying no to Taryn. Come in. Addison Ramirez. Come here, Addison. Okay, now Addison, now he was kind of the guy that did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and he would be down there, and my two guys, they'd be down there working on the computer while all the girls were, or the ladies were nipping at each other's heels as to what they were going to do. They just kind of put their head down and start working. So we make great husbands one day. Shay's coming back to see us.
Yes, sir.
What's your initiative going to be?
Bees.
I can give you a little
Bees. We're doing bees next year. Although he put his head down, man, he loves to talk about bees. They were what it was. There was an initiative. They were going to repollinate the state of Florida for trees and orange trees and all kinds of different stuff, and it was way over my head. Kendall. I'm going to give each of them a chance to speak here in a second, but Kendall was part of the silent majority. I'd always kind of look around the table, and she'd be sitting there, and she'd just be nodding her head or doing a little bit of this, and then she'd look over to Miss Omis and be like, kind of rolling her eyes around a little bit. Amelia. I was there when I come in. Now, Amelia, so I first met Amelia when we were talking about city council meeting up here, and she walks up to the podium and spends her 5 minutes just tearing me up one side and down another. Didn't you? I don't forget that. Very passionate person. There was no question when we sat down that she was going to become the chairman of our first youth council. And I think you learned a lot too, because she's a very hard charger and a lot of it's my way or the highway type attitude. And I think she learned over the course of time that you really have to negotiate your position. You have to speak, carry a big stick, but be kind of a softy on the backside, right? Let everybody kind of have their piece. Amelia did a great job with this group. They're all wonderful, wonderful students. They're all going to be when they get back from college, they're going to make a whole lot more money than we ever did. They're a whole lot smarter than we are, and they are going to lead us and hopefully put us up in the lifestyle we become accustomed to when you're taking care of our Social Security benefits. So with that, I'll let the chairman go first if you'd like to say a few words.
I would first like to thank you for being able to put this together and allowing us the opportunity to get back to Sanford, because I know myself, as living in Sanford my whole life, especially the historic district, I've really seen it grow, and this is a great opportunity in order to give back to the community, and also a great chance. I know I was talking to Shay about this in the car on the way here, for us to learn to compromise, and even though we do appreciate everything that we're doing and we want to keep doing it, we also have to understand that there are other things at play, and so it was a great learning experience.
It was very inspiring, and I learned a lot from this. I think we all learned a lot. like she said about compromise and even about local government. Just the impact you can have on your community and your small community and a local government. It was a very good learning experience.
Going to Cruise Academy, there was so many choices of so many clubs and opportunities that I had to do things after school. And Ms. O came to me talking about a club that hadn't existed yet, the Sanford Mayor's Youth Council, and I was on board right away. And I'm really excited what we did with the job fair. When we set out, our goal was to knowing that if we could create one job, we could lower the unemployment rate. So we did that, and we made 20 plus. So I'm excited.
I just want to thank all of you for this opportunity because I really feel like all of us got good mileage out of it and good experiences. And I have to say I really enjoyed seeing how things work behind the scenes and kind of seeing what you guys do. So thank you.
I would like to as well say thank you for this opportunity. I am one of the returning members, so I plan on taking over the job fair next year.
And the Boys and Girls Club continue that, right?
We're going to continue it, but there's a member, Travis Davis. He's coming up on the second Mayor's Youth Council, and he's there just as much as I am. So he's going to be taking over that.
Good, that's a wonderful project. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you as well. It was a very interesting experience, to say the least, throughout the various meetings and events that we were participating in. So it's nice to see the different areas of Sanford and the different events Sanford had to offer.
Awesome. Yeah. You guys want to come up? Come on. That usually means we're going up if we don't do Yeah, you don't need to yell all the same way.
They said it at the beginning. Is it on the sheet? There was a reserved seating thing. Did you see the reserved seating?
All right, everybody squeeze.
Government is really coordinated.
These two are the two black girls. I think
Thank you. Got it.
Yes, 2 in 1 week.
We're excited.
Yeah, get out of here, you little scamps. Thank you, Walt. Dr. Griffin, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Okay. I appreciate y'all allowing me to indulge on that for a few minutes.
Was it 6 and 6 or 12 and 12?
It was 6 and 6. Obviously, end of the year, there's other commitments, so some didn't.
I thought there were 12 from each school, 6 from each school.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't handle 12 from each school. All right, that's going to bring us to the minutes of May 9th, 2016, regular meeting.
Move for approval. Second.
Got a motion and second, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. That brings us to the consent agenda, items A through G. Unless something needs to be removed, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve consent A through G. Second.
Got a motion and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously. Public hearings, item 7A, the second reading of ordinance number 4364, amending City Code Land Development Regulations, creating Schedule G. Mr. Colbert, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is entitled an ordinance of the City Commission, City of Sanford, Florida, establishing a Schedule G, providing for architectural design standards and providing for associated revisions and amendments to the provisions of Article 3 and Schedule F of the City of Sanford Code Land Development Regulations relating to lighting regulations and other matters pertaining to the implementation of architectural standards, providing for a savings provision, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, the correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Mr. Bonaparte.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, it is the staff's recommendation that the City Commission adopt ordinance number 4364 for the proposed creation of Schedule G, architectural design standards and associated modifications to Article 3 and Schedule F of the Land Development Regulations as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission on January the 7th, 2016, and modified accordingly as directed by the City Commission.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak to this item, please do so at this time. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing portion and bring it back to the commission for discussion or action.
Yeah, I talked to Bobby Vernon Herbulis between meetings, and he was not aware that this was on tonight, and through a miscommunication apparently had not seen the final draft. I talked with him about it. It looks like everything he was concerned about was taken care of, as Russ said, but he would like an opportunity to look at it, and I'll just leave it at that. You know, I'm not sure if, you know, we've been on this for a long time. I'm not sure a couple more weeks to let him have a look at it makes that much difference one way or the other, but I was just passing on his feeling about it.
If he looks at it, then there are liable to be more changes, and then we're back.
Will you discuss with him the items of his concern?
As best I could over the phone. It seems like, and I know Russ spent 4 hours with him and knew better than I did what his concerns were. It seems that the main one about the industrial has been taken care of. I went through my list of things that I had, and they've all been taken care of.
Well, Art, I'll give it to you for. What do you think? What do you want to do?
I think it would be nice to let him look at it. I don't think it's going to change a thing.
I'm fine with that.
And you know, we're at our next meeting. We've got is when Tori will be here, so we're really probably putting this off for 2 meetings.
Do we have anything in the hopper that would affect this waiting a month? But I would want I want drop dead at the next meeting, either yay or nay, so that we can get this on the books.
I agree. I mean, this has stretched out a really long time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So, did you get an answer to? Is there anything coming up?
Good evening. For the record, Russ Gibson, Director of Planning and Development Services for the city. Mayor, we do have a couple of public hearings that we're targeting to have for first reading at the June meeting, but they involve land use rezoning actions. They would not be necessarily subject to these design standards at this particular time. So I'm not aware that having this continued for another 30 or 60 days would have any...
No 60.
Not 60.
No 60.
30 days rather.
No.
14. Would have any immediate impact.
I'll leave it in your hands, Commissioner. From the sounds of it, I'm okay to approve it right now. I think everything's been satisfied, but if you want to take it another 30 days and allow other people to comment on it because they were unaware, it's posted everywhere. I mean,
this is not final until it's the second reading, right?
This is second reading.
Yeah.
Bobby was the one that brought it to our attention. I don't mind approving it tonight, but I also have no problem, out of a courtesy, allowing him to see the final draft on it. But I think it's something that, even though, yes, we have the Tory presentation next week, I think it's something that we could do just right up front next week and have it go. I don't think we have to wait 30 days.
Then I'll move to continue to the next meeting.
Second.
There a motion and second to move it to the 13th. Is that where you want it, the 13th? Okay. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Will you get with Mr. Von Herbulis and let us know immediately if there's any changes, which I hope there aren't.
And he did receive your message, your email tonight, so he has it now.
Yes, I did notice that. And I did verify that my email was sent last week, but he may not have been able to receive it for some reason. But I will follow up with that.
Okay, thank you. That brings to other items, the approve and execute the Uber pilot project agreement and execute the interlocal agreement between pilot project municipalities. Mr. Bunkport.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. The City of Altamont Springs initiated a pilot program with Uber at the May 9th, 2016 City Commission meeting. The City Manager of the City of Altamont Springs made a presentation regarding the Uber pilot program, shared that other cities in the region were expressed an interest in participating in the pilot, and the City Commission expressed an interest in having a similar program. It is the staff's recommendation the City Commission approve and execute the Uber pilot project agreement and execute the interlocal agreement between the pilot project municipalities.
Thanks, sir. We do have a representative from Uber here to answer any questions if we have any more than what we discussed upstairs. So I'll bring it to the commission for discussion or action or questions.
Well, my two concerns or questions are the ones I raised upstairs. One is how do we have a verification of charges, and will we get the data that would be helpful to us in terms of where do trips originate and end at the end of the project to be able to make a good decision about whether to move forward.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to bring up Tony. I'm not even going to try.
It's Spadafino.
That's why I didn't try. Uber.
That's a very Irish name, by the way.
Yes, my name is Tony Spadafino. I'm an operations manager for Uber, covering our Central Florida region. Happy to answer those questions as you listed. Could you repeat?
Well, the first, is there a way to, and I guess it goes to the item that says we can get an audit map for 2 days during the course of the year. What I was thinking we would have at the end of the year is some data as to where were trips originating and where were they ending overall. 50% of the trips ended at the mall, or 10% of the trips went to the hospital, something like that. Can we get data like that?
So qualitatively, we can work with you all to try and come up with some of those use cases. The reason the audit language is as it is to protect the private, the PII, the private information of both our drivers and our riders. So I believe the audit states that we will provide twice during the length of this pilot. We will provide the commission the ability to audit twice a redacted lat launch, for example. Right. So when you're talking about someone requesting for an Uber ride, rather than that, the pin putting, or the map that is being shown, putting that dot right on someone's house, to which that would violate the personal identifiable information. It would be a rounded lat launch, so you would see the general vicinity, and so that would be available to the commission twice during the period of this pilot program.
But is that just for 1 day's worth of data, or is that aggregated data?
I would have to double check. I imagine it was aggregated, but I would have to double check. I'm sure it's listed in here.
Well, it says for a single specific date during the term.
I would have to check on that.
Okay. And so you're going to bill the city monthly?
Correct.
And so what are we going to have to compare the bills to be sure that they're accurate then? In other words, if so much of this data is protected information, if you say there were 45 rides at the cost of X and we owe you all a certain amount of money, then how do we audit that? How do we verify that? How do we be sure your billing is accurate? What's the proof that those rides really took place? Because we're spending taxpayer dollars here.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Thank you for the question. So first and foremost, each ride will receive a subsidy immediately after, meaning when an Uber trip is completed, the rider receives an email immediately when that trip ends to the email associated with the account. And so that email will have written on it, the time and distance charged, the total fare, and then you would see the promotion code applied. So upon the beginning of this program, of this pilot program, you could in fact check to make sure that promotion was working. I guess secondly, moving forward, the City Commission here does have all of the options available that any partnership would have in terms of seeking damages if you thought that we were misrepresenting data and overcharging the taxpayers of Sanford. So, we're looking for a long-term partnership here. The true value to Uber in this is to explore an innovative partnership with a public entity. This is not something where we're really looking to squeeze an extra dollar or two out of trips. Really, this is something we're incredibly excited about. Every policy team and operations team across the country is aware of how innovative this pilot is. So on that side, I can't think of a reason personally why we would look to sacrifice such a potential for a strong relationship with y'all. Because
you're getting paid the same, right, for the trip.
Correct.
Right? So
the rider's receiving the subsidy.
The rider is receiving the incentive or the subsidy, not Uber, because they're going to get paid one way or another. So it's not really them looking to pull one over as I see it.
Right. No, I don't either. I just worry about accuracy of billing and statements, et cetera. And when you say the rider's receiving the subsidy, though, when the rider completes the ride, basically they'll see their promotion code, which is essentially the credit or the amount taken off of their bill, but we're still cutting you the check for that amount.
Correct.
And I don't think they do anything intentional. I just, worry about.
Yeah, I mean, this thing has been quoted worldwide. I've already had 3 phone calls and just gave another interview on it. Beth Cassava, I just received an email from Mr. March that the Orlando Sentinel is doing a full op-ed piece that'll post tomorrow about the innovativeness and the transformative technology for transportation and the things to come. I would say that if we're looking at billing of $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden another month comes up and it's double immediately, I start questioning it. I mean, we've got a knowledge right now of what our annual, all things considered right now, what it would be. Hopefully that'll grow, but if it quadruples overnight, yeah, we're gonna subject ourselves to the default clause and say we want to know more before we cut any more checks. That's the way I see it.
Totally understand. We would love to see it quadruple. That's
absolutely.
That's the goal here.
Absolutely.
And the city would be clear with this arrangement. The city would be completely clear of any liability in accident or serious injury. Mr. Colbert, are we putting ourselves in any potential liability situation? I don't mean with Uber directly. I mean with a rider.
The agreement provides several layers of protection for the city. First of all, the drivers are not contracting with the city, and the contract that the city has with Uber is clear that the city will not be responsible to any third parties for any reason, and the contract states that. The contract also provides Uber to indemnify the city for Uber's negligence or any other type, and the contract specifies how that insurance is done and the rating of the agencies and all. So from a legal perspective, there are several layers of protection for the city, as well as the sovereign immunity statute of the state of Florida, which is also incorporated within the agreement.
Dr. Williams?
I just like to say that I read the contract thoroughly, the agreement, interlocal agreement. Even though this is not my area of expertise, I rely heavily on the city attorney, and in that he has not indicated that he had any real serious concerns as it relates to the liability for the city. In addition to the fact that there are several other cities, what is it, 3 other?
4 others.
4 other cities who have bought into this, and I would think that they have legal counsel also that have, really looked at this, and we're all signing the same interlocal agreement.
Correct.
That I support it, especially since this is a transformative, transportation project and initiative. So I would just like to make a motion.
I got one more question for you.
Okay.
I do have one more question for you, because I kind of did a whole lot of research and talked to a lot of different people. And I think the biggest concern that I have, and I think it is a legitimate one, is that every city's different. This city's different than Altamont Springs. This city's certainly different than Lake Mary. Lake Mary has a much higher median income. Sanford is a city where we do have some pockets of low income and poverty areas. And like one resident said to me, they said, well, this is great if you're young or middle age and you have an iPhone and you know how to use the app on your iPhone. But there are a lot of residents in the city of Sanford who I am sure would like to take advantage of something like this, who don't have an iPhone or who don't know how to use the app on their iPhone, but primarily don't have an iPhone. I have a problem with the fact that those residents, there's no just pick up the phone and call Uber, right? All you can do is go to your app if you have an app and if you have an iPhone. So I really feel like, as much as I'm willing to support this, this is real important to I understand all the reasons it's important. I also want to make sure we understand we are excluding some members of our population, and I guarantee we have a lot of members who don't have an iPhone. We have areas where we've had big problems with Lynx Bus and getting transportation, and to me it's just a shame that that everybody can't be open to this opportunity because of the iPhone issue. So I want to know, is there any plan with Uber to ever do phone calls or any other way of reaching Uber?
Yeah, thanks for raising that. There is a barrier in that you need a smartphone, whether it be an iPhone or an Android, to have the Uber app. So one thing we've done to try and mitigate that is we have a website, if you will. So it's called m.uber.com. You could actually go on a PC desktop, just like this one here, and you could go on m.uber.com, and it would simulate the app without you needing a smartphone. And so that's one thing that we've seen be able to bridge that gap between folks who aren't able to afford a smartphone and a data plan, because there are community centers that offer that internet service that a lot of folks can still use the Uber product. I think the second thing I'd like to bring up is also the economic benefit of having Uber in the city. I think from one end you have the subsidized rides, so increased accessibility for folks to use a multitude of public transportation options, whether that be using Uber to get to a local bus at a subsidized rate. But then there's also the other side. There's also a driver partner who takes that rider to that location. So in some ways, a lot of this money is being reinvested in a flexible earnings opportunity for Sanford citizens. So I think what we're hoping to do is really in this pilot test to see the feasibility of how we can actually grow grow both trips to Sunrail stations, to provide more accessible transportation options, but also that economics earnings opportunity to see if, if demand grows in this area, then that would be able to support more driver partners on the system, and that system could grow in that way.
I have the same concern, because I mentioned the last time we talked about that. However, since this is just the pilot program, it's for 1 year, okay, and after that year, we can evaluate whether we want to continue. And I just think this is another source of transportation. And as I said, right now we pay our links, city manager, $90,000 a year. Okay, and they took the links route out of Goldsboro. So, I just think this is another source. But I have that concern too.
And one other quick thing to add, I'm not a resident of Sanford, I'm not an expert. We would love to work with y'all on how to design this program. Where should we message our driver partners to be, because that's where we expect the request and the demand areas to come from. How can we best market this program to all citizens, especially using things like community centers where there is access to the website. So happy to share my email and my team's email and start working on this to perfect it over this year.
Excellent.
Plus, we're trying to come into the 21st century here in Sanford.
You should see her work the Uber app. It's amazing.
Oh, jeez. She still doesn't know what it is.
We're getting there. Slow but steady.
Wait, I want you to put it on my phone for me, because I don't really know how to get an app. And then I'm gonna.
You can't do it on a flip phone.
I don't have a flip phone. I don't have a real iPhone anymore. You put it on my phone for me, then I'm gonna teach Commissioner Williams, and let's take an Uber ride somewhere, the two of us.
Oh,
That would be a real first for us.
And if one of y'all already has it, I can get a free ride for the other one by teaching you how to refer somebody to Uber. Start getting free rides out of it.
Well, we can go together, right?
Correct.
2 people can call Uber to go to the same place?
Same rate. We don't charge based on number of people in car. So
Once you do that, you can sign up as a
Yeah,
driver.
the clerk's asking that you don't do that.
Huh?
The clerk's asking that you don't take
we'd
a
have
ride
to
somewhere
take
together on Uber.
We'll do a 24-hour notice. Publish it.
Okay, we won't ride together on Uberville
We
because it
can't
violates
do
the
it because that's
sunshine
not
law.
violating now.
Just don't talk.
City business.
I've been in there 18 years, and I've gone to lunch with mayors, commissioners in 18 years, and I wasn't violating no law. I didn't have lunch with you?
No.
Okay, you missed out. And we did not violate any law. Now, it might be in the minds and perceptions of the people who see us together.
We like to take left turns when it's a right turn signal, so that's kind of how we roll.
Okay, but anyway, time is of essence, and I'd just like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement.
Actually, Commissioner, there's 2 agreements. One is the agreement with Uber, and the other is the interlocal agreement. One is with Uber, then one is with the other cities, the other 4 cities.
Which one I need to do first?
Well, they're combined.
They're combined. Also, you want me to say I make a recommendation for both?
To approve and execute the Uber
Where is
pilot
it?
project.
I move to approve and execute the Uber pilot project agreement and execute the interlocal agreement between pilot project municipalities.
There's that motion.
I need a second.
What are you looking at me for?
I'm just looking at y'all.
I'll second.
Your motion is second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to hear again, since it's not in the agreement, that you think at the end of the year you can give us an aggregate of, in general, where people came from and where they're going.
So I was looking at this while there was some conversation going on. So with regards to the 2 audits during the pilot, it is a specified date. So it is a 24-hour period where we can give the rounded lat launch example, as I had mentioned, of where the trips were beginning. So at the end, I can't obviously promise something that wasn't written in the agreement. I think the best way to put it would be, we want to build this relationship. We want it to be a long-term partnership. My team is very happy to aggregate a lot of that data and convey it to you in a way that satisfies folks about what the use cases are. I think that's what we're trying to get to is, are people using it to commute to work? Or are they using it to go to and from restaurants? Those are things that we can certainly convey qualitatively based on my team's research.
I got one little problem.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the privacy to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
However, in seeing the data, we may get a rough idea of where they're going or coming from. We certainly aren't going to know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So why is it so private? We don't know who they are, number one, and number two, we don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're selling this to some weirdo on the internet. You're talking to city officials here.
But as soon as they talk to you as a city official, it becomes public record.
That's true.
And so if you've got an address of 114 North Summerlin, took 17 trips to the dance bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty easy to track who that is.
No, that would be. Well, I won't use your address.
Your kids are in trouble, aren't they?
That was my politically correct dance bar.
Okay, yeah, I see the point, but
I'll stop going to your house.
Exactly.
In that 24-hour period, which we can do twice, that's a tough one because they're going to be peak seasons and lower seasons. So, do we get to choose when those 24-hour periods are?
Yes, you can specify the date.
Okay.
I think it's important to know too. This is the first public partnership with a multi-billion-dollar company that was on the cutting edge of how to do things differently. I think if you read it, it doesn't matter if it's transportation or tech or whatever it is. It's the combination of a bunch of different items. And I would be weary of, from private sector side, private sector guy, I wouldn't want to share all of my books with you. That's just who I am. That's who we are in my industry too. I think we can get there. I think in a year we have more discussions, and as this expands and moves into something different, mutates or morphs into bigger and better things, or we shake hands and walk away as it didn't work. I think we can have those conversations so that the identification and the trust levels a little bit, comes from both sides. Like I said, if it jumps, tenfold in a week, based upon the status reports we've got now, we're gonna sit down and have a conversation. And that's that's on Mr. Bonaparte's heels, or on his shoulders, to make sure that everything is working in the form and fashion that we see fit from a liability and a monetary standpoint.
And it's true, right, Art, that the interlocal agreement stipulates that we can pull out at a certain time, or they can pull out.
They can pull out. We can only pull out for cause.
For cause, and that would be a pretty big cause.
Okay.
If I ask for an audit, or say, hey, there's something wrong here, and we need to take a pause. That's for cause, as far as I'm concerned. That's why we got this great legal team that we're paying a whole bunch of money for, to figure out what that cause defines, or the definition of it is.
Okay.
Mr. Colbert just looked around to see what other attorneys we had working for.
He's calling Lonnie right now. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
You opposed?
Yep.
Okay. One opposed, four. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Just
Thank you.
general subsidizing issues.
I would like to have full commission support on that, Mr. Jones, but I understand. That brings us to the attorney's report.
I have no additional items. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I have nothing, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Citizens' participation. Would anyone from the audience like to speak to the commission at this time? Seeing none, I'll bring
Mr.
it.
Mayor?
No.
Oh, and I want to recognize Mr. Ping, who is live streaming this for us now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think. Did it work?
I think it is. We'll see if it continues to work. Dan Ping, 110 Chapman Avenue, Sanford. I was hoping to be able to get to speak before the vote on the Uber thing,
I do have a couple of concerns. I'm very excited about it. I actually see it as an innovative way to solve some issues. My only concern, and two concerns actually, is that if you read the agreement closely, you won't know from month to month whether it doubles in cost to the city, because Uber says that is a proprietary trade agreement. So what the city pays Uber monthly is a proprietary trade agreement. Can't get that data, can't see if it jumps. I'm not sure how that passed muster, Mr. Colbert. I asked you upstairs, and I'm a little perturbed that I haven't gotten a better answer about that. But what the city pays Uber, according to what you guys just approved, proprietary trade agreement. Now, I don't want to blow this agreement up because I use Uber. I think it's very good, but I think Uber is being very stingy with their data. And in fact, I'm sorry, I forget your name, but you do have a data sharing agreement with the city of Boston that asks for, or that provides all of the things that Commissioner Woodruff was asking for. So I'm not sure why you're being so stingy with it when it comes to Central Florida cities. It's my only point. It is a good deal. I like it. I'm going to use it. But I just think, particularly if we're talking about making payments to a private company, or if we're talking about making policy decisions, we're going to make it based on secret data. That bothers me. That bothers me.
And I think everybody has that concern, Mr. Ping. I think that you will be able to tell some of those points as to the dollar simply level if it changes significantly. You're going to be able to tell, not to an absolute pinpoint degree, but you'll be able to tell that there's some differentials and some other things. Like I said, this is a pilot project. I mean, there's not everything is perfect, and I don't think we've got that as part of what we'll be talking about at the next level if we decide that it's a win.
I certainly understand that, but it's like the being closed on Friday at City Hall. Once you get down that road, Uber's not going to want to give up that data.
Point taken. Appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak?
We have a young Boy Scout in the back that should come up and put his name on the record.
Come on.
Boy Scout, my man Scout.
So just state your name and where you're from and what troop you're in.
My name is Alec Bumfield. I'm from Troop 787 from Oviedo, Florida. So it was very interesting seeing a different city, Sanford council meeting. I'll go back to my own city, possibly go to their council meetings, probably have more of an impact on my own city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now, have you been to an Oviedo City Commission meeting?
Yes, I have.
You have? Ours is a lot better, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You can admit it. You can tell the mayor I said so. Okay, anybody else like to speak on the record? Seeing none, I'll bring it to the commission discussion. Dr. Williams. Thank you. Commissioner Mahaney.
Well, on a much lighter side, not nearly as earth-shaking or critical, but we'll have a happy note here. I want you to know that I've secured the funding for the chainsaw carving of the tree in Paul Park.
Oh, awesome.
All right, very cool.
Yes, and it came from my husband and I, as well as a substantial amount of private donors.
Now, who are those private donors?
IBI.
I'm joking. Dan, that was for you, man. You know. We won't put that one on the record.
They won't remain private. Cynthia Lindsay will get their checks, and ultimately we'll be putting a plaque near the tree with their names on, so they'll be more than public. But I have
the artist that's going to do it.
Yes, Christine Dalton and I. Well, first of all, Christine Dalton supplied me the name of 3. They're all fantastic. One, we were too far away from him. Number 2 was the world champion, and he was incredibly interested until he literally the next day fell out of a tree and broke his leg. literally, and called me and said, you know, he couldn't do it. And the third is a gentleman who lives in Orange City named Mark Rice, who's also quite a champion, an award winner. And he was also the gentleman that was awarded a lot of the Senator Wood. And he is just a nice fella. And he came out and met with Christine Dalton and I, looked at the tree, came up with a concept, which is absolutely priceless. It's at the bottom of the tree, it's one dog. It's kind of standing up, looking up like, you know, like I'm a sweet dog.
How was that?
How's the dog doing? What's the dog doing?
He's looking up.
You can't make this up.
You're not going to get this in Oviedo, are you?
You can't make
And
this
then
up.
on the other side of the tree is a like a terrier, but just half of him sticking out of the tree, you know, the back end. And then about halfway up is a cat looking out of a knot in the tree, and then on the very top branch is a full body of a cat looking down at the dogs, and it'll be a total of about 12 feet high, and it is absolutely adorable, and it's going to make the neatest piece of public art in that park. I think it's going to be they're putting a bench right next to it. I think it'll be talked about, and it'll really become an icon in the park.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And good job. Commissioner Jones?
I just want to briefly just mention, you know, the reason I voted no on the Uber thing isn't anything against Uber at all. I think it's a phenomenal, absolutely, it's a phenomenal venture. I mean, I'm honestly waiting for the IPO, to be honest with you.
What is it now? I'm sorry.
A phenomenally phenomenal.
Phenomenally
venture.
phenomenal.
I want to see that in a minute.
And we have several friends who actually are drivers for it, and so it just, my whole issue is just, I don't think we should be subsidizing $1, $2 for you know, $5, $6, $7 rides. That's my whole thing it was just a subsidy thing. You go through our budget and $36,000 to $72,000. Every single director out there has a place to put that in. That was my only thing for it.
I got you.
That's why I didn't want to delay the vote. So or delay the vote. That was all.
Okay. Commissioner Woodruff?
Nothing from me.
You don't have the video?
Mr. Bonaparte handed me a note to remind everybody about the Memorial Day Parade, Monday, 10 a.m.
At least they don't leave.
Right?
What does that have to do with me?
Yes. 10 a.m. and then 11 o'clock in the park, or the Veterans Memorial Park, right, for the ceremony.
Veterans
So
Memorial Park?
everyone's invited. You can come up and sit on stage in the heat. I'm sorry? That's all I've got.
Dan, what were you doing out there with that equipment?
You were showing us online.
He's periscoping.
You were live in the bouquet.
He's periscoping.
But you always tell me you're doing that so I know how to act, you know, because there's a professional demeanor that people expect from commissioners. And you're telling me that you
Not
have
in this
that on?
room.
Let me know next time.
Well, the public's here. I mean, you didn't do anything bad.
That's a sneak attack, Dano. No, I saw this morning he posted that he was going to try out the app for the live after or whatever it is to post up to the website.
There was about 15 people constantly stayed on it. Now, sometimes it went up till 30 and sometimes it went
Who are
up
they?
to 7.
And we're any of them riding Uber.
It's private.
You know I love you, my man.
And Jeff, he's doing it in tribute and in recognition of former Commissioner McCarty.
Bingo. We'll call him.
Actually, I do have a video to show.
We'll get back to that later. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Oh my gosh.